I'm a Quinnipiac grad. I graduated with a degree in political science, and after that, went to work in the State House as a legislative aide. And I've always enjoyed politics, always loved public service and government, and spent 20 years working in the intersection between labor organizing and political action. And decided to stay in Hamden when I graduated with my wife and my two boys, and been here for 14 years. And didn't like the direction that our state was going in, and didn't like the fact, felt that our state senator was doing a good enough job bringing resources back to our district. So that's why I decided to get involved.
Going back to the day of the midterm elections, November 6th, how did you and your team feel going into that?
We felt really good. We put on a really good campaign. We had lots of support. We had been endorsed by President Barack Obama. We had a lot of supporters. There was a lot of energy and excitement, and we felt really good going into Election Day.
And then that night, can you explain some of the things that happened? What were those feelings, emotions, and then what happened going into the next day?
We were really excited. We went back to headquarters and just waited for the returns to come in, and it was pretty obvious that it was going to be a close race. And we were waiting for some more precincts to report, and it got later and later into the night. We realized that we weren't going to know the outcome that night, so we sent everyone home and thanked them for their support. Woke up the next morning on Wednesday and found that I was declared the winner. So began to receive congratulatory phone calls and prepare for the transition to take office. And then Thursday afternoon, at a strategy meeting with the Senate Democratic Caucus, I was informed by the attorneys that there was a problem with some vote counting in Ansonia, one of the towns in my district, and that there was going to be a mandatory recount. And
when you found out that initially, what were the thoughts that went through your head? What were kind of like your emotions like?
It was confusion. I was asking, myself some questions like, what exactly is happening? We were a lot of attorneys involved, so I think everyone was just trying to gather facts and find out, what had occurred. We thought that we had won. And then when we realized that we were going to have to go through a recount, that was a good 4 or 5 days of just kind of waiting for the whole recount process to, go through that. So it was a bit nerve-wracking.
And when you were declared winner on November 7th, what was your lead like declared then?
The Secretary of State, I believe, reported we had about, I think it was like 100, I want to say 130, 140 something votes that we had, so it was a close race. But with 100% of the precincts reporting, they had declared us the winner.
And then the next day, the following days in the recount, what was the change that happened, and what was the reason that they gave you for the recount?
That was part of the initial confusion. There seemed to be multiple explanations for why the vote in Ansonia was reported wrong. First, information we got was that it was a scrivener's error, which basically means someone wrote down the wrong number. But it was a big mistake if that was the case. It went from 2 to 234 was the initial reporting. Then we were told that absentee ballots were fed into a machine and may have been counted over 200 times, which we also couldn't wrap our heads around. Another narrative was that a machine had broken down in the middle of the day, and they took the ballots out of that machine and fed them through the machine that was functioning, giving the impression that the machine counted those ballots twice. So there was a lot of confusion. I really didn't know what had happened. Finally, after going through the whole recount, it was concluded that, in fact, there was some type of scrivener's error. Someone wrote down the wrong number and inputted the wrong number into the computer system.
Wow.
Yeah.
Crazy. And when you found out about the recount, I know that you hold a rally. What was that like? What was the thought process around holding that rally? And what was kind of the message that you want to get for holding that rally?
Because of all the different reported explanations for why there was a mistake, we became very concerned that we needed to make sure that every single vote was counted. And so the purpose behind the rally was to put a spotlight on the recount process to make sure that the folks that were doing the recount understood that we were demanding that every single vote be counted adequately, and that the integrity of our political system and the integrity of the outcome of this election was critical, and that they needed to do their job and make sure that things were fair, and that whatever recount process they were engaged in would be transparent and have integrity.
when the news broke about the recount happening and what ended up happening in Ansonia, how did your supporters react and just the citizens in Ansonia in general?
We were disappointed. We obviously, it was a bit of a roller coaster ride for about a week. But these things happen in politics, and we feel we put on a great campaign. We did everything right. We received over 18,000 votes, and we came up 77 votes short. My opponent received 50.1% of the total votes cast, and I received 49.9%. So I think we came away from it obviously disappointed, wanting a better outcome, but a deep appreciation for people often say your vote really matters. In my race, it really did.
An incredibly close race.
Yeah, it was very close.
Looking forward to 2020, do you think that there's a way that these kind of voting issues can be avoided in any way?
I'm not sure. That's one of the things I'm looking at. I've been talking to other legislators about possible legislation for more oversight and accountability. I think sometimes, at the local level, I have questions around, training, experience of the people who are conducting our elections. And we have a strong tradition in Connecticut of local rule and local authority over our election process, which I think is important. But I think we need to balance that to make sure that these kinds of mistakes don't happen.
And do you plan to run for any sort of political office in the future?
I'm not sure. It was a very long race. I learned a heck of a lot, and I had a lot of fun. But right now, I'm really just trying to get back to a more normal routine. But I do plan on staying engaged and making sure to grow our party and grow our presence in the district. So I think time will tell. Plus, I need to get my wife's permission again, which is critical.
Absolutely, very, very critical. And then one last thing. How has your relationship been affected maybe between you and your opponent, George Logan, after this whole recount debacle?
Mr. Logan and I have always had a amiable, respectful relationship. I mean, we were cordial, and he is our state senator. He was reelected, and he's my state senator. So I'm hoping that he'll go back to Hartford and work harder for our district and get us the things that we need. And I think in politics, after elections are over and the dust settles, we have to remember that we all have to find a way to work together for everyone.
That's all the questions I had. Is there anything you want to add?
No, thank you for the opportunity. I just, it's really important. I think this year the energy was incredible. I was really happy to see the large percentage of people coming out to vote, and I hope that people continue to participate, to speak up, to speak out, and get involved in their government.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Sure, no problem.